Hello, I'm so happy I got a hold of you. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Lucious Showcase. I am Lucious T, and welcome back to the backlog. Well, this week I'm taking a look at a game that's the hardest thing ever, according to everyone who does games now. Is it really that hard? Well, let's find out. The first time I read about Cuphead, the art style looked cool, but I was more interested in the gameplay. The boss-only, skill-based action sounded great, and then they added run and gun and co-op, and my hype just increased. So after I fell in love with 2016's Fury, a boss-only game itself, my Cuphead interest just grew even more. Now, other than the fact that some reviewers can't play it, unlike Fury, it was not being punished for being the Dark Souls of run-and-gun gameplay. Oh man, Dark Souls! I'm sold. Sadly, it was an Xbox One exclusive. PC though. And the way I currently have my living room set up, I have my game capture station, and on the other side, I have my Xbox One, which I use for my P90X workouts because... this chest won't work itself out. It's like the Dark Souls of paleness. So with the death of my PS4 disc drive and the wait until I get my new God of War PS4 Pro a few weeks from now, I figured it was time to dust off the Xbox One. So one 25-foot HDMI cable and unhappy gen later, and it's time to get my Cuphead on. I know I don't use the retroactive intro much anymore, but this game calls for it.
There's a lot of games out there, some of which you've never even heard of. That's where I come in. I'm Lucious T. I've been playing games since the age of 2, and I have no life. This is retroactive.
We're all in agreement that the pinky up thing is weird, right? Cuphead is a wonderfully illustrated run-and-gun style game. Let me offend some people by saying it is not hard. It is challenging. But... Dark Souls! Cuphead affords 3 hit points with the opportunity to spec out more, unlimited continues, auto-fire, and a customizable loadout that you can build to suit your playstyle. Not to mention the fact that every fight can be beaten in under 2 minutes. All of these modern conveniences, if you believe it, were not the norm back in the NES days. Now, the biggest enemy in this game is yourself and your ability to recognize patterns, and perform flawless execution for 2 minutes at a time. The game slowly ramps up difficulty, with Aisle 1 being easy, Aisle 2 adding some challenge, Aisle 3 having some drag-out fights, and Hell being outright brutal. Now, the overworld itself is set out like a Mario game. You can walk between fights, find coins, talk to the denizens, and find shortcuts. Some of the characters have amusing arguments between themselves, like the jukebox and the viola, while others will taunt you with secrets like a hidden pacifist mode, as well as a smug fork that brags about getting an A rank on every boss. Man, fork that guy! There's also a shop where you can take all the coins you collect from the run-and-gun sections and from the overworld to buy all your new abilities, which we'll get into later. Now, there are 2 difficulties, simple and regular, with expert being unlocked after you beat the game. As far as I can tell, the only difference between regular and expert is speed and giving the enemies more health, so I didn't bother beating it for this review. Had it added new mechanics like Fury did in Furier mode, I would have. As I mentioned, you are ranked after completing each stage or map. The lowest I got was a B-, with 1 A+, which, wouldn't you know it, it was the hardest level in the game. Rolling 6s, baby! What can I say? Grape juice, Lucious T. You are graded on time to win, health remaining, parries done, specials used, and difficulty. I'm fairly certain you must win under 2 minutes for most fights. I only did 1 fight where I wasn't hit once, and technically, I was. Parries are accomplished by tapping the jump button mid-air, allowing you to absorb an enemy attack if it's pink, and also boost yourself up and generate 1 special charge. And specials are the cards at the bottom of the screen, and build with successful attacks on enemies, maxing out at 5. By using the special button, you can unleash a Hadouken, or one of the various other special attacks depending on what alternate weapon you use. Now, I only use the short-range spread shot in addition to the pea shooter, really. Now, there are 6 shot types: the Mega Buster, Spread Gun, Homing Missile, Bouncing Shot, Charge Shot, and one I may not have even used. Every time I used one of these, I just found myself missing the sheer burst of the Spread Gun, so I rarely won a match without it. Gunplay is great with built-in auto-fire and the ability to lock in place and shoot diagonally. The dodge and parry mechanics worked well, but took some getting used to. Parry was hard to achieve jumping up into something, and I also found it hard to stop holding auto-fire to hit the dodge button. Also, I confused which button was special in dodge a lot. Chalk it up to not using an Xbox One controller in a while, maybe. You will find mausoleums in each Inkwell world where if you get your bounce on, you can unlock an ultimate. Once again, I only used the first one. Once you build a full special meter, meaning you have 5 cards, you can then use them all at once and unleash an ultimate. And you really don't have a choice. If you have 5 cards, you're using the ultimate. Now, the one I used was the Cup Burst. Now careful, it's only horizontal and will leave you vulnerable once the attack ends. This was particularly a pain in the dragon fight. Once I'd get out of it, I would either fall onto the little minions or I would fall off a cloud. Now I can't say enough good things about the boss fights. Each is a wonderful little puzzle that gives you no clue as to when it's over or when sections end until you catch the pattern or die. And then you get to see your progress bar. This is a wonderful way to press on as each time you get a little further, and while one boss may take an hour to beat, the skill you built up will help you beat the next boss faster. I spent several hours on the casino, an evil boss rush mode where you roll a die and fight one of 9 enemies. You can get lucky and earn bonus health as well as land on safe spots, though you can get sent back to the beginning if you land on the wrong spot. And if you die, you start over at the very start. Luckily, each boss is a one-note fight, so you don't have to memorize many patterns. I found the easiest route to be the cigar, rabbit in a hat, 8-ball, then the king himself. By the way, the whole story is you're collecting souls for the devil because you have a gambling problem. Perfect! I, of course, opposed the devil and managed to beat him on my first attempt past the halfway point. A truly memorable game. I only wish Expert Mode added new mechanics. I beat one boss on Expert to confirm, and he did the same stuff. Time for some Lucious metrics. Series fatigue. Reinvigorated. It warms my old school heart to see a game like this come along. It perfectly captures the old school Contra spirit while giving Super Meat Boy-like quickness, and honestly, anyone can beat this if they put their mind to it. Though maybe I'm just a gaming god. I did beat it in a day and a half after all. Top 7%, mate! Time sensitivity. Believe in yourself. Don't let the hype discourage you. Anyone can beat this game. It just takes determination. Your level of violence will improve with each execution kill point and grade you get. And if you get this joke, well done. Controls. Almost perfect. Like I mentioned, the shooting and dodging is great, but I did have issues switching buttons sometimes. Maybe it's just me or lack of controller familiarity, but nothing I lose sleep over. Each loss is a learning experience, and I learned a lot. Replay. Feat of Strength. This is a game that some will get hooked on, but for me, it's an accomplishment to notch and then move on. I was glad to be done with the B level or the theater performance and never look back. Now, I could see some future Expert Mode streams happening, though, if I ever do this full time. Storytelling. What it needs to be. The story works. Honestly, the story here is the beautiful hand-drawn art, wonderful sound design, and absolutely phenomenal through line put in this game. I have no idea how they made this in Unity. For a lot of people, beating this game would be a real achievement. For me, it's just Tuesday. He's worse than the damn fork! That smug, satisfied feeling I have, I know I earned because I put the work in. Man, fork this guy! And you too can achieve this feeling if you just believe in yourself. I know I do. Oh, now he's a philosophizer. Taking all that into account from the perspective of a binge-playing game finisher, I give this my Lucious T recommendation of beat it. And there you have it. That's it for this week, guys. Thank you for joining me. This was an amazing game, and it's not that long. It's only $20. And yes, you do have to bang your head against a wall. But once you get that taste of beating a boss you were struggling on, it's going to propel you to the end of the game. And if not, just keep at it. That's what you need to do. You got to keep at it with games like this. It's not easy to keep losing. I lost 397 something times, but I kept at it and I eventually beat it, and you can too. Alright guys, well, it's been so nice getting a hold of you. Take care.